what was Donald Trump doing? Did he go to a single rally? Did he contribute to a single Tea Party cause? Well, he was spreading around his contributions, and we're supposed to believe that every businessman does that. Really? Every businessman gives money to Chuck Schumer and Anthony Weiner and Charlie Crist? Really? I'm not aware of that. Every businessman? That's what they do? Well, as recently as February 2010, a little over a year ago, right into the teeth of the Tea Party battle, Mr. Trump gave $2,000 to Anthony Weiner in his primary campaign. December 2009, in the teeth of the Tea Party battle, he gave $400 to Schumer in his primary battle and $1,600 to the Schumer campaign in the general election. In November 2009, he gave $2,300 to the Hillary Clinton for president campaign, I guess to help her pay off her debt, I don't know, as well as another $1,700 the day before. He gave $2,400 in October 2009, right into the teeth of the Florida battle, to Charlie Crist for Senate. I don't see any contributions to Marco Rubio here. In the primary, he gave $2,400 to Charlie Crist, so he bet against Rubio twice. He gave $2,000 in the primary to Schumer in May 2009. He also gave $2,400 to the Harry Reid campaign, Friends for Harry Reid, in his primary campaign. He also contributed to John McCain in the presidential election, as well as other Republicans. And the storyline that he puts out, we're all supposed to go gaga for it, is he's a businessman, he's got business in these areas, this is what you do. I don't understand what that means. That means, did you get something in return for these contributions? Because that's a crime. So what do you mean you do these things, this is what a businessman does? What does a businessman do? Make unprincipled contributions to some of the most left-wing losers in the nation who are undermining our country? This is the new Tea Party candidate? Why? Because he has the gift of gab? Because he talks tough now? I'm looking at his record. We're going to look at more of his record. I was tipped off earlier today, this morning as a matter of fact, and I see it's now on Slate. Listen to this. In January 2000, I want to quote you Donald Trump. Look, I know a lot of you don't like this, but you got to listen to this. It's your country at stake. Quote, "We must have universal health care," Trump wrote in his own book, America We Deserve. "I'm a conservative on most issues, but a liberal one on this one. We should not hear so many stories of families ruined by health care expenses." He said and wrote, "Doctors might be paid," I'm reading from the Slate article now, "less than they are now, as in the case in Canada. But they would be able to treat more patients because of the reduction in their paperwork," he writes. So he wanted a Canadian-style universal health care system. This is why Donald Trump doesn't want to be questioned in a serious way. What kind of judgment is this? And there's more than that. Mr. Producer, let me go with cut 11. Here is Donald Trump, CNN, October 15, 2008, 2.5 years ago? With Wolf Blitzer. I want you to listen very carefully. Cut 11, go.
Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker.
Well, when she first got in and was named Speaker, I met her, and I'm very impressed by her. I think she's a very impressive person. I like her a lot. But I was surprised that she didn't do more in terms of Bush and going after Bush. It just seemed like she was going to really look to impeach Bush and get him out of office, which personally I think would have been a wonderful thing.
Impeaching him?
Absolutely, for the war. For the war.
Because of the conduct of the war.
Well, he lied. He got us into the war with lies.
Does this sound like a rational human being to you? Did you support impeaching Bush over the war? Also in that interview, he says Bush, disaster. Cut 10, Mr. Producer. Cut 10. Go.
He's been so bad that I think probably a Democrat has a huge advantage. Now, crazy things happen in life, but a Democratic candidate, whoever wins, is going to have a huge advantage because of Bush. People don't like him. People think he's been a horrible president, possibly the worst in the history of this country.
You believe that?
Oh, he's been a terrible president.
You think he's the worst in the history of the United States?
I don't think he can get much worse. Why? I mean, who's worse? Give me a couple of names. Who could be worse?
Well, because in the last interview we did in March, you said he was the worst.
Well, at least I'm consistent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are consistent, except right now. Now you say Obama's the worst. Then you said Carter was the worst. Now, let us go to CNN, March 16, 2007, cut 12. Go.
Well, I think Bush is probably the worst president in the history of the United States, and I just don't understand how they could have lost that election.
Meaning 2004. How about November 2008? Hat tip, New York 1, cut 13, go.
Bush has been so bad, maybe the worst president in the history of this country. He has been so incompetent, so bad, so evil, that I don't think any Republican could have won.
So he's evil, and he should have been impeached for the war in Iraq. You believe that? One more. We have Donald Trump on New York 1, November 2008, praising Obama. Cut 14, go.
What does Trump think of President-elect Barack Obama?
I think he has a chance to go down as a great president. Now, if he's not a great president, this country's in serious trouble. I think he's going to lead through consensus. It's not going to be just a bull run like Bush did. He just did whatever the hell he wanted. He'd go into a country, attack Iraq, which had nothing to do with the World Trade Center, and just do it because he wanted to do it.
Asked if he ever thought he'd see an African-American president in his lifetime, Trump answered,
They always said 100 years before a black man or woman could have been elected president. And 100 years turned out to be like 1 year. He's done an amazing job.
He's done an amazing job, ladies and gentlemen. That would be Obama. You a conservative? You want to think this through a little bit more? And then last night on with Hannity on the Fox News channel, here is Trump again. Cut 9, go.
He's been a horrible president.
Meaning
I always
Obama.
said the worst president was Jimmy Carter. Guess what? Jimmy Carter goes to second place. Barack Obama has been the worst president ever. The history of this country, Barack Obama is number 1.
Really? You thought the worst one was Carter, and yet I just played all these clips of you saying Bush is evil, Bush should be impeached, he's the worst president ever. Can you name another? I seem to recall Bush 43 came after Carter. Do you have a memory lapse, Mr. Trump? Or may I call you the Donald? Now, you may be able to slip and slide with all the other hosts. You may be able to slip and slide with some of the TV interviews. You may be able to slip and slide and persuade a handful of Tea Party activists that you're the real deal. I know differently. You're not the real deal. You're exactly what your audio says you are. You're exactly what your contributions say you are. Universal health care of the Canadian kind 11 years ago. And I find it interesting, he's been asked a couple of times now about Paul Ryan's budget. And what does he keep saying? The Republicans shouldn't take the lead. We need to have consensus. He says we're dealing with the worst president ever. You just heard the worst president ever when he didn't know the mic was on, how he's going to stick it to the Republicans every chance he gets because he's a dishonorable individual. I think he's a sick individual, frankly. That's right, I said it. It's about him and politics first and foremost, not the nation. So how the hell would Paul Ryan or the Republicans have a bipartisan deal on the budget? How's that possible? What is it? We just need Mr. Trump to do all that? Is that it? Ladies and gentlemen, you better damn well think this one through. I know the man's entertaining. I know he's charismatic. I know he knows business. I know he knows that. But I'll prefer to call him not Mr. Trump, but Mr. Chump. And those of us who support him, not me, you, Chump, I will be proven correct about this, as I always am. No brag, just fact. The evidence is there, right in front of you, and I'm sure there'll be more. The nation faces a perilous future if we don't turn things around. I don't have time for circus acts. They're entertaining. If I want to turn on TV, I'll watch it. But I'm not going to get in the ring, I can tell you that. Not with the clowns.